today's episode of Carren's Couch. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm really glad that you did. Now, I want you to sit back and grab a coffee if you don't already have one, because I'm about to introduce you to a very, very special guest, and I know you know who it is. Let's face it, the whole world knows who this superstar is. Now, before I introduce you, before I reveal the secret of who's joining me on the couch today, I want to tell you why we have this particular person joining us. We went in search of somebody that had an amazing story, a really compelling story of change and transformation. We wanted to talk to somebody that had a relatively successful career, and when I say relative, I'm referring to small fry. I mean, this guy, he is out there. If there's anything that was worth achieving, he went after it, and he went after it with a vengeance. So this is who we found, somebody who is incredibly successful in their field, but has gone from this level of success to this level of success, but in a completely different field. And it's almost like when I talk to him off air, it's almost like I'm talking to a breath of fresh air. It's like I'm talking to somebody who knows themselves, has found themselves, and has used their journey to discover who they are as a human being. And there's no ego, and there's no hype, and there's no fluff, and there's no nonsense, and there's no I'm better than this person and buy my stuff. There's none of that. And that's why I think this is going to be such an extraordinary show, not only for you guys, but certainly for me, because I have the very great honor and the incredible pleasure of introducing you to the amazing world champion Ironman, Mr. Trevor Hendy. Welcome to the couch, Trev. Thanks for being a part of the show today.
Thanks, Carren. That was the most beautiful welcome. Thank you very much. I nearly had a tear. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Trev, the reason that we really, we just love you, and we love the thought of having you on the show to go through this conversation with me, is because you've been through a massive journey, and it's such a stark contrast in what you've done with your life in your early years and what you're doing now. And tell us about your journey. Tell us about your ride.
What a great question. My journey, my ride. So, Carren, I think like a lot of people, I grew up very sensitive and very aware of the world in a funny sort of way, aware of the effect it was having on me. I was like, hiding, grabbing onto mum's coattails, all that sort of stuff. I had a really sort of tender heart from a very young age, as we all do, but really struggled for me fitting into the world that was so competitive and so dominant about who looked good and all that sort of stuff. So, that old saying, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
At a certain stage of my life, about 14, 15, when I was a young man trying to find my way, and I guess just coming into puberty and all that sort of stuff, I started wanting to be like the superstars or the legends in Ironman or in my own surf club or whatever it may be. And I felt like I had to be like them. So two things happened. One was I was infused by a sense of purpose of something that I wanted to do that felt real and right, because it was imbued with the ocean and all that sort of stuff and being the best I can be. And so it was a really beautiful, pure challenge. But I also had this infused element of thinking I had to be someone else to do it. I don't know if you can feel it, but I had one powerful thing happening, which was, a sense of purpose and a sense of destiny and finding my own power inside of myself. And another negatively powerful thing that was happening, which was I was losing myself in the process. So I would get both results. I would win over, because I never won a race till I was 17, and by 18 or 19 I was world champion, because it just all switched. But I would win, and the same hand I would also began to have trouble in relationship and life and everything else, because this trying to be someone else didn't allow me to let love in, so I could love it the way I gave to people, but I couldn't love freely, let it in and out. So I had a bit of a double thing going on, success, but not success that felt real and sustainable and that I was able to feel really, really proud of. So I'd even cross the line, and I'd throw my fist in the air and put my head down and close my eyes, because somewhere I didn't feel proud of the fact that I was trying to beat everybody else. I didn't know it. I was very unconscious of it at the time. But of course, celebrating as well. So you know, it wasn't until I came across somebody that said, no, there's another world, there's something else to explore about what you're feeling on the inside. It's not this impossible thing to understand. With enough space and time, we can slow down and you can know who you are from direct experience. So my whole world changed when I did that. I literally won more races at the end of my career with less training, less injuries, no more antibiotics and anti-inflammatories and all that sort of stuff, but a sense of I was in the right place at the right time. I had peace inside of me, and it was the most beautiful experience to be able to have both.
So, Trevor, tell me, when you say, because you have had a very competitive upbringing and a competitive life, and I dare say that you're actually speaking to the hearts of a lot of people in that what they do outwardly is in conflict with what they're feeling inside. And,
Absolutely.
you know, we go on and we live our lives that way, and we work in a job that we hate to pay off a house we can't afford, to look after a family that we're never there for. And then it all comes to an end. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of people that are living a double life, but it has a double-edged sword. And you said that you managed to find peace through direct experience. And this was one of the things that you and I spoke about off camera that really, you know, started to make the back of my neck stand on end, the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, because this is so close to my heart in terms of understanding who and what we are spiritually. So what do you mean by direct experience, and what has it done for you? Who are you now?
Simple question, isn't it? So I'll preface it a little bit, Carren. One thing I think we're talking about and sharing about is we all have personal experience and personal pain and personal stuff that's actually affected us, and I was certainly on that journey. Then we have an overall blanket of experience in life that seems to almost suppress our ability to know ourselves, or it's all intellectual. It's all about how you look and what you think and qualifications and all this sort of stuff. So even the spiritual element is very shrouded in either New Age or religion or whatever. It's very rarely just given us open access to go in and go, who are you really, and to explore yourself personally. So while I had personal stuff, which was trying to inform me of how I felt about life, I also had that group mind stuff of what I was trying to live up to and do. And the reason I say that is because my personal experience was one of feeling squashed and feeling like as if I could never quite get there. It doesn't matter how hard I try. I get to this. If I get all the money and the job and pay the mortgage off, I should be feeling fulfilled, but I'm not. So what happened was, when somebody helped me deal with those personal issues, they were my gateway into not trying to find who I was, but by actually understanding the personal things. All of a sudden I would pop into a space and go, what's this? How long has this been going on? That we can be aware of each other. I'm aware of everybody in the room. I can feel people over there, and I can feel what people are going through. And this feels very natural to me. Well, hang on. Nobody taught me this. Where did this come from? So I had very grounded spiritual experiences because they came from someone not telling me or teaching me or giving me concepts, but helping me come through my own stuff and then go, whoa, as long as I was in that limited understanding of me, look at the effect that's had on everybody. Look at the effect that's had on my relationship, on my life, on my health and everything else. So I began to have experiences where I literally felt out of body, where I literally felt so connected to people and so connected to, you know, all things. And the greatest thing for me and the greatest gateway was I had huge love now for my family and my relationship and my kids. It was brimming out of me. Direct experience, we're the beautiful natural intelligence that sits behind all of our experiences. So we aren't the actual experience. We aren't the drama and the things that we're going through in life. We're not any of those things. We're not the hair. We're not the shape. We're not any of those things. We're that beautiful natural wisdom and intelligence that sits behind it. The easiest way to find who we are is to go into the space and awareness and discover that that's who we are. Because there we connect with each other, and there huge love is capable. There's no division between people. And we can also actually from there feel that we're also beings, but we're beings on a journey. Each of us have an individual journey and an individual way that our life unfolds. And that's our goal, that's our opportunity. And that's the program that I wrote, which is the Boot Camp for the Soul, was because I went, wow, life's one giant boot camp for the soul, because you almost have to be willing to go in there and look at it and discover it, and then discover the depths of it. It's like when you do a boot camp and you do sit-ups. You know, they hurt and you get in there, but when you go and explore, there's some of the pains and the emotion coming out, but it's the gateway into who we are, and we're the stillness. We're the part that the world needs, all of us.
So given that that's, you know, your new perspective on who we are and what humanity is, and I share your view wholeheartedly, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about this later on in the show, how has your family and your environment adapted to this new version of yourself?
Yeah, great question. It's probably it's equal to how I've adapted to it. So as I've got, I think we talked about this off camera a little bit, as I've got more comfortable in revealing who I am and what I feel and standing in it and going, I know this for certain, that by letting ourselves a bit more helicopter view of our life or a deeper understanding of who we are, everything comes right. So that's a challenging thing, because people around us, certainly our friends in our peer group sometimes, oh, I don't want to go there. It's too confronting. It's too challenging. Our mind gets involved and runs rings around us and says, no, don't go there. And so I guess there's been different degrees where family's been, wow, thank you for where you just shifted. And there's been different degrees where they've gone, what are you going there for? I've had plenty. It's nice to hear, isn't it? I've had plenty of challenges. But that's only come from getting more and more certainty in my own truth. And that's just my truth. It's not everybody's truth. But I think each of our truth touches on somebody else's, and hopefully that's inspiring for people. We don't have to have problems. They're opportunities.
So what are you doing with yourself now, going from Iron Man to this incredible spiritual support inside of our community? What are you doing with yourself now?
Very much following my intuition and my own sort of knowing of where I need to be next and what I need to do. And what's happening for me is I'm finding myself, Carren, working in some incredible organisations. You would think a spiritual viewpoint, oh, that's for people that want to have spiritual understanding. I'm working in some big industries and organisations like big football clubs and big sort of government areas and everything. And people inside those organisations are going, no, we need to go there. Please bring that to us. We need to go there. And it's not airy-fairy. It's actually how we not only will we get results, but how we actually have a sense of purpose rather than just a sense of ambition. So it's a little shift in myself recently, is not just sitting with people, helping them spiritually one-on-one and in small groups and things like that. I've been getting back out into the world and getting right into the middle of the cities and right in the middle of big organisations that we're all affected by, that are putting out products and services that when we kind of change that mindset to come from a more holistic view, that product and service goes out with a purity, and people go, what's going on over there? I love the way you play, or I love the way you just spoke at your press conference or whatever. And so I'm really finding the people that I'm connected with in those areas and traveling with them. It's a sense of like a tribe that I'm kind of rediscovering as I go, people that I feel very connected to. And I said to you the other day, I feel so connected to you because I know the beautiful things that you're doing and where you're standing for people. And I feel all of us, even the listeners, it's all about all of us coming together and standing somewhere and going, it's just at the rate that we can do it and handle it and everything else, but challenging ourselves and challenging each other to come from a higher viewpoint. So I'm doing a lot of that, a lot of one-on-one still, a lot of helping people in all areas of life. I've got the website, trevorhendy.com, and the Bootcamp for the Soul, which is like a 12-week program that runs off of that. And that's my way of pouring what I'm understanding every day out to people and saying, check this out. You can go through this process and get your own, not my answers, but your own answers about yourself. So having the time of my life, literally, Carren. Just
listening to you, it's so, I can feel myself just feeling enlivened listening to everything that you're saying, because, there's a certain image that people have of you, Trev. You're our Iron Man. You're our bloke, and yes. that's it. And the most refreshing part about this conversation that we're having is that you're actually a really gentle soul, and you're a real person in there. And you know what I really love? And I do the same thing. I have the same thing with the seminars and the events that I run and all the programs that I deliver, is that, we teach what we need to learn. And the thing that
Yes.
I love about this awareness, and as I said, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later in the show. But the thing that I love about this awareness, it's a constant unfoldment. It's a constant evolution of discovering what we are and how we interact, and how does awareness interact with other aspects of awareness, and how do we go about our day-to-day lives of running businesses and speaking for corporates and teaching people and one-on-ones, like all of that stuff still happens inside of this new realization, I guess, or I don't know that's necessarily new, but inside of this realization, as you said, of who we are and actually what we are, of that silent being behind our experiences. And I know that there are people listening to this show that are going to go, oh my God, what's she talking about? What's Trevor talking about? I've got to know more about that. And their little ears are pricking up and they're starting to get a real interest sparked. So, I think that this has been a really cool conversation to really whet the appetites of our listeners, especially, as I say, with somebody like you. I mean, as I said, you're our bloke. You're the one who's going to rescue us in the surf, and to see somebody who's so calm and so peaceful and so collected and together, that's come from such a huge competitive journey, who's created such incredible success, to be at a place now in your life where you actually get it. It's inspiring. It's awe-inspiring.
So from when I was a young age, there's something, a non-physical, a metaphysical, a spiritual element that's always come through for me. And off I went down some paths and purposes, like all of us in life. And some trails led to beautiful things and some trails led to disasters, and that's what life's about. One of my beautiful people that I feel connected to is Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, New Earth. And he had a thing where he just freed out. He just realized and freed out all of his mind in one hit. And I haven't felt like that. It hasn't been a slow burn either. It's been a bit of both. I've had chunks of freeing out, but I've also, as you said, each person I meet with is another new, beautiful opportunity to connect. And I feel like I get another part of myself back and a deeper understanding. So I feel like I'm very much still walking a journey, but walking a journey with certainty about love and connection and who we are. And that we go there, it makes all the difference. And that's our destiny. That's who we're here to discover we are.
What a beautiful way to round off the show. That's just, and I'm so grateful that you've come onto the show to share your story and to share your journey, because, I think that there's a lot of people who would be very interested to hear about the transition that you've actually made. And, the part that I love also is that you've made the transition with such incredible confidence and self-assurance. And I think when people do go through changes in their lives, and particularly when it comes to, from a spiritual perspective or the perspective of revealing their true selves, that's probably more what I want to say. When we step out from behind the mask that we've been wearing to look the same and be the same and to look good and to fit in, when we step out from behind that and reveal who we really are, in our greatest vulnerability is also our greatest strength. And Trevor, I think that you are the epitome of that incredible strength through, as you say, love and connectedness. So thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you so much for being on the show. You're a real, as I said in the intro, you're a breath of fresh air.
Thanks, Carren. And can I just say for those people that are listening that for me, I've walked through so many layers of uncertainty and so many layers of doubt and everything else. And even the fact that I'm ready to show it fully and come out through this set of eyes and show who I am and show my heart and everything else, that's been a bit of a slow burn too, because I've always known it, but I've learned how to stand for it and be for it in a world that's quite challenging around that stuff. So for those people out there that are on a journey, you expect to go, in and out and all these things before that certainty comes through. And that's absolutely par for the course. And just make sure you put your hand up and say, hey, I'm struggling a bit. And the people that are able to help you with it will step in and help, because if you ask for it, the help is there. It's always there. Life gives it to you if you need it.
And I think that the point that you make is so poignant there. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. When we're ready, people will be there to support us along the journey. Because like you, I definitely believe that there are grander forces at play that are helping us to come to this realization of who we are.
Absolutely.
So thanks a million, my friend.
Thanks, Carren.
You're a wonderful man. Lovely to hang out with you.
I've loved being here. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
So stay tuned, because we're going to go down the rabbit hole just for a couple of minutes. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that may get you thinking along a different line when it comes to what Trevor and I have been talking about around awareness. So hang in there. You're going to have my view very shortly. So I don't know about you, but there's something really different happening. And I feel like there's this huge groundswell occurring out there amongst people around, I guess, kind of getting this wake-up call. And to be able to talk to Trevor Hendy about it, as I said, he's our bloke, he's our man, he's the one that, you know, is the big surf lifesaver. And here he is revealing himself, saying that we are nothing other than love and connection. So here's my view on it. I've been studying this whole concept of awareness, and if you want to go down the rabbit hole with it yourself, I really suggest that you do a little bit of research, because it's really hard to explain it. Sometimes language just doesn't allow us to really express the true meaning of things. We've actually got to experience it for us to know it. So if you're looking to explore what I'm talking about and what Trevor was talking about, Google non-duality. And then also you can look up the ancient Eastern philosophy of Advaita, and it's spelled Advaita. Now Deepak Chopra talks about Advaita, and it's all about non-duality being not two, which really means that you and I are actually not two. Now, in this whole New Age movement, there's this whole thing that says we are one. There's, you know, we're one with the trees, and we're one with the animals, and we're one with each other. And it's kind of a riddle, because I look at you and you're separate to me, and then I look at a tree and I don't look anything like a tree. Well, I hope I don't anyway. But we look at those things that are outside of ourselves and we say that they're not us. But I'm going to leave you with something. It's a little down the rabbit hole, so take a really deep breath. And this is just a little snippet and a taste. When you look at a tree, let's just use a tree as a classic example. When you look at the tree, yes, it does appear to be outside of you, and it does appear to be separate to you. But who's doing the seeing? Who's seeing the tree? Well, common sense says it's me. I'm doing the seeing. And when I see something, where does it occur in me? Well, it occurs in my awareness. Like, I'm aware that there's a tree there because I can see it. So if we closed our eyes, would the tree still be there? Well, intellectually we know that it would, but if we shut our eyes, we can't see that it would be there unless we touched it. So the sensation of touching the tree with our eyes shut, the sensation of touching the tree, where does that sensation of touching the tree actually occur? Well, it occurs in our fingertips, doesn't it? And there's a signal that goes from our fingertips into our brain to say, I'm touching a tree. So the awareness of the tree is actually not outside of ourselves. The awareness, whether we're seeing it or touching it, it's all actually happening in here. So everything that we look at that's outside of ourselves, the actual act of seeing and the experience of seeing it, it's occurring in our awareness. So it's actually really intimately connected to us, so much more than we ever imagined. So while ever I think that the tree is out there and you are out there, you're separate to me. But when I look at my direct experience, as Trevor referred to, my direct experience is, yeah, it looks like it's out there, but actually it's my awareness that's seeing it. It's occurring in my awareness. So my experience of you is happening in my awareness, which makes you very intimately connected to me. Now that's a very different way to look at people and to look at objects outside of ourselves, because instead of us being separate, in fact, you're part of me and I'm a part of you, because you're occurring in my awareness, and my experience of you is all happening internally. So, you know, it's just another way to look at things, and it's just a slight taste to this whole non-dual way of looking at relating to each other. Check it out. Do some research if you're at all interested. It's a very deep and a very experiential way of looking at life. And again, hey, what do I know? It's just my view. Thanks for tuning in on today's show. Hopefully, again, it's been insightful for you and it's sparked a little bit of curiosity. I know that this is a really big subject and I love it. I'm listening to tapes and reading books constantly. So hopefully you'll do the same thing when you start to dive down the rabbit hole. So join us here next week on Carren's Couch. Go to our Facebook page at allthews.facebook.com/Carren's Couch and give us your comments and ask me any questions you like. You can also post your questions and your comments on our website, which is allthews.carrenscouch.com. Make sure that you go to iTunes, download the podcast, listen to it when you're out there walking in nature, driving your car, or let your kids listen to it too. It could be quite interesting for them. So join us here on Carren's Couch next week. I'm going to see you on the ride. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.